what we have planned for you today is construction CRM best practices, sales and focusing on sales and bid management. And I kind of call this the why, what, and how of construction CRM as it relates to sales and bid management, which is really the objectives for today. What we're going to do today is we're going to cover the why. I mean, why would you want something like this? Why is it beneficial to you as a company, as a construction company, I should say? And then we'll cover the what, and the what is the best practices. What should I be doing? And then what we try to do is we combine that with the how, and we've tried to provide you with some real world examples of how you would accomplish these things. And we're going to really focus today, because it works better on the webinar, with screenshots and examples. We might have time to show you some software, but we're not going to plan for that. But the examples that we will show you will be real world examples from customers, from construction companies, and things like that. And so the agenda that we'll go through is we're going to start off with a little poll question. And the poll question will give us a little bit of an idea of our audience, understand who you are and what kind of software you use today or tracking tools you use today. I'll give you a little bit of background about TopBuilder Solutions, and because you may not be familiar with us, we're relatively new to TUG, and so that's appropriate. And then what we'll do is we'll go through a summary of the CRM benefits, and we'll list them out there, and we'll talk to you about them a little bit. We'll tell some stories about it, and then for the pretty much the balance of the webinar, we'll go through the what and the how that we accomplish those benefits or accomplish those goals. And we'll be pretty fast paced, but if we're going too fast, just let us know, and then we'll wrap up with a Q&A at the end. All right. So we're ready for the poll question.
All right, so everyone should see that poll question on their screen. So just take a moment and select your choice.
Okay, do we have results?
We do. There they are. So it looks like 100% chose generalized CRM Salesforce.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's an we don't typically have things 100%, but let me share with everybody some history on that. So we do this poll during this webinar every time. We also interview builders, and we also discuss this with our customers or potential customers during demos and meetings. And this is what we've compiled to date. So the interesting thing that we can draw from this is most builders that we talk to or attend these webinars are using nothing, or we consider paper or Outlook nothing, by the way, or they're using Excel or Access, which is over 75%, 77, 78% of the builders out there are basically using nothing or Access or Excel, which is an indicator of where you may be positioned within the industry. Not only is there an opportunity there for you to maybe do things a little bit better, but also maybe compete a little bit more, knowing that you're using some tools, some advanced tools and best practices versus your competition. Okay, so that's good. Thanks, Charlotte. The next topic that we're going to talk a little bit about TopBuilder Solutions, give you a little bit of background so you know who's talking to you, and then we'll dive into the benefits. So TopBuilder Solutions has been around since 2008. and we only focus on the construction industry and CRM or marketing solutions for construction. The construction industry is our only focus and will continue to be our only focus. We have been a Sage partner, a Sage development partner since 2016, and we just recently joined TUG. And if you were at the National User Conference in Orlando in May, you may have seen us at the Sage booth. We were happy to be invited to spend time with them there, and I probably walked around and met a lot of you during the convention, but we plan to be very involved in TUG moving forward. We have clients all over the country, hundreds of builders, thousands of users, and our companies vary in size. I mean, the companies we work with are down to the small construction companies that do just a handful of jobs a year, up to the very large construction companies that do multiple jobs a year across multiple states and billions in sales. So we also have direct experience with CRM and construction. So I think we know a little bit about the CRM and construction, and have brought these lessons learned to this webinar today. Okay, so the benefits. So why is this important? I sometimes call this slide the who cares slide. And I joke about it, but yeah, I mean, why do I care about this stuff? Well, why is it important to my business? Well, there's a lot of things, especially when it comes to construction. Now, some of these things are no-brainers. Okay, yeah, we can manage contact information, and yes, it's going to help us keep more organized, and yes, it's going to help us collaborate on things and save time and money. But there's some things in here that you may not have thought of as a benefit for CRM, and I'll cover those here, and I'll point them out as we go through. Okay, well, first of all, having CRM for construction is going to allow you to collaborate across all your sales, bidding, proposal, marketing activity. We talk to a lot of builders, and they get a lot of bids, and they get a lot of opportunities to submit proposals, and they're all over the place. They've got some guys saving their opportunities in Outlook, and some people are in Excel, and some people are on the notepad or on their phone, and nobody's able to go in and collaborate on these leads or on these bid opportunities because it's not centralized and organized. So we're gonna try to accomplish that goal. One of the other things that you'll be able to do is win more jobs from your existing opportunities. So in other words, increase your closure rates. And that's without spending more time or money on getting more bid opportunities. We're talking about the opportunities you currently have and increasing those closure rates by doing a better job, maybe being more selective on the jobs that you are bidding. You're going to increase the quality of your bids and the quantity of your bid opportunities through these best practices as well. So you'll get more quality opportunities to bid on, and you'll be able to access customer, lead, job, and bid data from anywhere, anytime. Kind of goes back to the first one, but it's worth repeating here. You'll streamline and optimize your sales and bidding and proposal processes, making you leaner and meaner. You'll be able to protect your company assets. And, like I said, we like to tell stories about the discussions we have with our builders and our customers. And we hear stories about, salesperson leaves, or hard drive crashes, or they lose their laptop, or, we're actually literally talking to a builder in, unfortunately, the Carolinas right now, whose offices got flooded out. And they're having to rebuild and get everything back together, and they lost a lot of data in file cabinets and on hard drives. So you're able to protect all that data and not worry about it walking out the door. Any investment that you're making in marketing, you'll be able to maximize so that you're not wasting your marketing dollars. You're following up on the opportunities, and you're tracking those opportunities, And then you can also see which opportunities actually have the highest ROI. When I say opportunity, I mean marketing opportunity, and then focus on those. You'll be able to reduce mistakes on your proposals that could affect your profit and your revenue. And you'll be able to project revenue and labor requirements because you'll have all the data to do so. You'll be able to increase the profitability of your jobs. And this is an interesting one. We talked to somebody about this, 2 weeks ago, and they were having a hard time attracting new talent because they were on old tech, or no tech, I should say, and bringing in technology that the new talent is expecting to use and see was enabling them to start attracting new talent. Whereas before, they weren't going to go to work for a company where they didn't have any technology because they expect that. And also, you'll be able to see all your projects and sales end to end in the system. Okay, so moving on. So that is the why. And what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the what. So what are we going to do and how are we going to do things to accomplish these goals? Now, the what starts with electronically capturing your opportunities. And that may sound simple, but we're not talking about getting an email in Outlook here. We're talking about collecting it in a database that can be used to collaborate and distribute across your company so that everybody has access and visibility to the opportunities, not only the current ones, but the history as well. And you can do that in many ways. You can have a form on your website to capture RFQs. We see a lot of this today where you're capturing your opportunities online from your website. And typically they have multiple places to do that on their website. It could be a request for quote or a request for service. You have folks walking around with mobile devices capturing the data electronically, and it goes right into a lead management system. Having a customer portal is another way of doing this, where you can get customers to log in, and there's a lot of things you can do with the portal, but what we're talking about here is submitting. Typically, it's a request for service. You're not going to get a big GC logging in to submit a quote because they're going to do it however they want to do it. But customers can go in and request service on jobs or warranty work through your portal. And then another interesting way of getting your leads in, besides pulling them in from third-party lead generation sources, is your bidding software. Bidding software is often used, to create bids, of course, but what bidding software is not always good at is what CRM is good at, and that is following up on bids and opportunities and submitting proposals and collaborating. So if you're getting bids going into your bidding software, then it makes sense maybe to bring those into your CRM or your lead management software so that you're following up and reporting against that. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we covered the what, and now we're going to jump into a how we do those things and show you a few examples. So here's an example of a form on a website, and ironically, we set this up for a customer last night. And it's a little hard to see maybe, but on their website, the customer can log in and put their name and their information. And you can also see down below, where's my pen, and go to here it is. They can upload documents directly into the lead management system. And then those documents, it could be an RFQ, it could be photos, it could be specifications. Those can be saved, okay, with the opportunity itself. And then you have all the information in one place to go start the bidding process. Here's an example of a mobile device where you're collecting your leads, and again, you can upload information, and here's a portal. And again, we're talking about the bidding software and the interfaces. Okay, so that's one of the best practices. That's essentially number one. Moving on to number two, one of the things that we hope you do and suggest you do as best practices is to make sure you set up alerts and reminders. And so when leads come in or bid opportunities come in, bids are due, whatever that event may be, you want everybody to know about it. And that's kind of the point, is if somebody's got to go do something, or if there's some work that needs to be done, let's tell people about it and make sure it doesn't fall through the cracks, and make sure everybody gets enough lead time. And that you can set up alerts via email, via text messages, calendar appointments, dashboards, of course, reports. There's something called a bid calendar that you could show them. And then it's very important to make sure those alerts have all the information they need to act on that opportunity, and go ahead and start working on that bid or the RFQ. Okay, and again, now we did the what, and then we'll go in and we'll show you the how. And here's some examples of an alert, a dashboard, a bid calendar, and calendar appointments, where it's showing you, hey, I've got a bid due today, or I've got a bid due this week. And that way everybody is on the same page and nothing falls through the cracks. Okay, so that's number 2. Going on to number 3, one of the best practices is, let's define a workflow or a follow-up for each step throughout the cycle. And when these opportunities come in, let's make sure that you get reminders and alerts to follow up. You might automate some of that goes out to the customer. Say, hey, we received your RFQ. We're working on it. Or maybe after you've submitted the RFQ, the workflow contains another email that says, hey, your RFQ is in your inbox. Here's a number to call if you have any questions. You can also delegate some of these tasks out to help collaborate, not only to office managers or admins to help offset some of the workload, but you're also delegating tasks out to estimators, project managers, jobs foremen, other folks that are collaborating on the job. Now, you can also provide guidance with some of these follow-ups. Like if we have an RFQ that comes in, here's a checklist of items that we need to go through to make sure we've got enough information to start bidding, as one example. Okay, so that's best practices number 3. I got my numbering wrong here. So sorry for that, but this is actually number 4. So wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Got that wrong. Got examples here. Follow-up. Here's a process, and that'll make you cross-eyed probably by looking at it, but you can see how you map out your processes in a flow chart. And this is the lead generation and the follow-up process, and all the steps in between. And you can imagine how complicated this is if you don't have something communicating between the folks involved, and also sending out alerts to make sure everybody knows what they should be working on. And what you do is you take this process and you put it into workflow plans, and those workflow plans get assigned to your opportunities as you move them through the different stages of the life cycle. Okay, so that is number 3. Going to number 4, let's monitor this stuff. Put in some tools and utilities to track and monitor what's going on. Okay, that way management and everybody else knows what the right hand knows what the left hand's doing, management knows what's going on, and that way, if things do start to fall through the cracks, you can take action. So again, we're talking about some reports and some alerts and some dashboards and calendars, but showing some examples here, you can see that we have bid status reports down below, where we're saying, okay, here's all the outstanding bids that are due. You can see who the estimator is, when is that job supposed to start, when is that job supposed to end, and when is the bid due date for that job. Now, you're also going to be tracking submitted, bids that have been submitted, bids that have been awarded, and bids that have been lost. But at the early stages, you want to make sure you're monitoring all the bids that are open, right? And what is the due date and who's working on them. And again, we have bid calendars and alerts and reminders. Okay, so again, that's the how on number 4 is monitor, track, remind, and alert. All right, so jumping down to the next one, use a proposal generation tool to help standardize on proposal generation and proposal submission. Okay, well, how does that help? Well, first of all, it helps you standardize and use professional looking proposals, but it also helps you, copy or reproduce proposals you've done in the past. You'll eliminate mistakes this way because the proposals are fill in the blank. You can also easily distribute and track these proposals to make sure they were received, and then also assign follow-up to those tasks after the proposal has been submitted. Now, these tools should allow you to combine multiple documents together to generate a proposal. They should automatically fill in the blanks for you for the most part, and then you're off and running. And there's another issue here. A lot of times you need to resubmit proposals because it was lost or didn't make it to the customer. And then, if this is in somebody's Outlook or somebody's hard drive and they call the office and say, hey, I didn't get my proposal, you can easily resubmit it. Okay. And then a little bit of examples of the how is generating proposals, using Word documents or templates. And this is maybe a little bit hard to see, but it's filling in the blanks for you. And you can also fill in the blanks right from Excel if you need to, from your proposal generation tool, upload an Excel worksheet and add them to your proposals. And then you'll also be able to email out and track those proposals as they go out. Okay, so that's number 6. Best practices number 6. Best practices number 7 is integrate your critical data so that you can capitalize on the core features of CRM. Now, we talked about this a little bit with the bidding software. As bids come in, interface those into your CRM solution so that you're making sure you're following up on that and reporting against that. But think about Sage and think about all that data that's in Sage. Okay, you have customer data in Sage, and new customers are going into Sage all the time, potentially, and you want to be able to follow up on those customers, even if they don't go through the bidding process. Maybe it's just a service request that goes straight into Sage, creates the customer, but you want that customer in CRM so that you're following up on those opportunities, hopefully getting new opportunities from that. And then also, if you want to communicate and market to those customers, you have them in your CRM. Okay, so integrate your systems with not only your bidding software, but your job cost accounting and project management software and other types of software that contain customer and job information. All right, okay, so that's the number 7 on the what, and there's number 7 on the how. One of the easiest way is to find a solution that has an open API where you can send data back and forth to whatever system you're using, such as Sage. You may be using Sage Estimating, or you may be using Sage Job Cost Accounting or their accounting software. But they may have a direct interface to them, but that system, if it has an open API or programming interface, is what that stands for, application programming interface. It's easy to take customer and job data in and out of your CRM. Okay, so that's number 7. Okay, so what we're going to do is move on to number 8. One of the most important things that I want you to do is make sure you're analyzing what's working and what's not. Okay, that may sound like a no-brainer, but you'll be surprised what you might find. We do this with our customers all the time, and we look at this data, and it's amazing because they have a lot of data before they get a CRM system in place. And then all of a sudden they get a CRM system in place and they start running these reports, and they're like, oh my goodness, we're bidding out constantly to a customer that's not awarding us any jobs, or we've got an estimator that's consistently not winning work, or job types that are not producing. It could be service work or new construction or warranty work. I'm not sure, but you'll be able to spot these things very quickly on these reports and be able to take action. You'll also understand why you're winning jobs, why you're losing them. Maybe you're bidding too high, maybe you had a couple bad projects, or maybe you upset a customer. I don't know. But if you don't look at these things, you'll never know. And you'll be losing a lot of work potentially, but not know why. This will tell you why if you follow these best practices. Okay, and so what I'm going to show you now is the how. And the how is running these reports, like I said, but you can do them by estimator, potentially, by customer, by job type. And so what I'm looking at is bid performance, and I'm trying to spot problems. Am I not winning certain types of work? Or is one of my estimators not doing a very good job and I'm losing a lot of work, or I shouldn't say losing, I'm not getting work from a certain estimator or project manager? Or is a customer sending me a bunch of bid opportunities and they're never awarding them to us? Why is that? Go chase it down. I mean, I don't know why, but if you don't see it on a report, you'll never know why. And you need to go find that and go chase it down. Okay? And then you have your won lost reasons reports, and you can run these many different ways. I don't know if you can see this here, but what I'm showing you is you can run this report by sales manager, division, estimator, job type, industry, and customer, and try to find out why you're winning and why you're losing your jobs. Simple as that. Okay, so kind of going to transition the discussion a little bit from the bid management portion into maybe the marketing portion, to try to show you how you can use these best practices to get more opportunities. Okay, and so what we'll do is we'll start off with best practices number 9, and that is generate new opportunities from existing leads. Well, that sounds great, right? Well, here's what happens. It depends on the type of work that you do, but if you're a contractor that does a certain type of work, let's say roofing, you certainly have an opportunity after the job is done to get the service work or the warranty work or the repair work. And service work and repair are synonymous, I would say, but a lot of customers, or a lot of our customers, or a lot of roofers, for example, don't necessarily follow up properly after the fact, and then those opportunities don't come their way. And it may not necessarily be service work, but it may be the next phase of the job or a new project. If you're not following up properly after the job is done, or even if you lose a job, you're not doing yourself a favor in getting those opportunities. Okay. One of the things that you should look for is being able to, if you're a specialty contractor, a roofer, plumber, electrical, HVAC, is tracking to make sure that you know who the building owner is and who the property manager is on these jobs for the new construction jobs. So you may be bidding out to a general contractor, but there's a building owner somewhere there, and that's who you want to go after for the service work, or a property management company. So track that and follow up. Like one of our customers, the last time we did this webinar, got on the webinar and talked about how they use their CRM to convert new construction to service work. So they do a lot of new construction, but they're not doing as much in the service area. And the reason for that is they just don't have visibility to when the jobs are completed. So if you have a CRM in place, you can follow up after the job is done and try to get that service work. And then sometimes you may be getting some service work for some customers or some locations, but not others. And that'll also show up on these reports. Okay. So the next thing that I want to talk about is you'll be able to look at the customers and maybe see that they're not throwing as much work your way as they used to. And that should show up on a report. Well, you need to go find out why, but one of the things that you can do with the right solution is what we call keep in touch campaigns, and target them to the right people that are, that may not be throwing you the work that you're used to getting from them, and just keep in touch. And it's not just emails, but it's also, hey, get somebody in a car, drive out there and go talk to them, find out what's going on. Okay. All right. So we talk about the follow-up and the different steps along the way, even if you lose a job. So that's the how. We kind of covered that already a little bit. And then the other one, best practices number 10, is let's focus on the bid opportunities that are giving us the highest probability of success. You probably got an idea of what those are, but without putting them on a report and seeing it, using real data, you may not really know. So you'll know that you win a certain number of job types, a certain percentage of job types for new construction or for service, or you may get a lot of jobs from a certain customer and not others, or industries, or there's lots of different parameters to look at. But the important thing is, if you've got customers or types of work and you're not getting, they're throwing bid opportunities at you, but they're not awarding anything to you, yeah, you might need to go find out why that is, but also it may just be an opportunity to not waste your time and pass, and start focusing on the opportunities that are giving you the highest probability of getting the work. Okay, and so how do we do that? Well, we go back to those bid performance reports and we look at those, and you can run those by customer, job type, industry, estimator, project, all kinds of different things to try to find out what are giving us the highest percentage, not just in number of bids won, but also dollar amounts won. And then you can see that on these reports and know where you want to focus your bid activity. Okay. And then again, we're going back to that one lost report to look at that. Okay, here's a good one, and kind of covering things that, overlapping a little bit in the what's, but find some gaps and hidden opportunities. We call them revenue gap reports. And revenue gap reports are very interesting and, quite frankly, shocking to some people we talk to because what they see is areas that they should be getting work but are not, essentially. And also problems, customers not sending you bid opportunities anymore, customers or locations within customers that are not engaging with you for certain things. And what you'll do again is you'll want to assign somebody to those opportunities, flag them on these reports, and start a keep in touch campaign and a follow-up campaign. And here's an interesting report. So this is a report to show you how to find these opportunities. And this is an example. We've got the Home Depot example where you're doing all this new construction, but hey, I'm not getting service, maintenance, and warranty work. Or here's Costco, and hey, they're giving me work, but they stopped sending me bid opportunities. Okay. And yeah, I'm repeating myself a little bit, but it's worth it, because this is where the biggest bang for your buck is finding these hidden opportunities on these reports and going after them. And this stares you right in the face, says, hey, oh my, I've got a problem here. Let me go after it and find out why. And I'll tell you a story. We had this report run for one of the builders that we work with. They do sprinkler systems, fire prevention systems, and they went and called the Home Depot, and that wasn't the real example, but they went and called the customer, and the customer said, hey, we didn't even know you had a service division, or we didn't even know you did this type of work, inspections and things. So there you go, problem solved. All right. Okay, and this is kind of the best practices, number 12. It's kind of a no-brainer for CRM, and that is the saving time and money. But we've got some interesting examples that you may have not thought about. Having all your data in one place after you've integrated with Sage or your accounting software allows you to do things that you never would have been able to do before. And that is a consolidated forecast, as an example. Consolidated forecast is showing everything that's in your pipeline and everything that's a real job on one report. So you can forecast revenue or labor. And if you don't have that data in one place, it's impossible to do. I mean, you could compile it into one place and start scrubbing it. And we talked to some people that do that, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And it's almost like after you've done all the work, the data's already old. And we do talk to some customers that do this, and literally they spend 6 weeks a quarter compiling their information for these forecasts. And it's bits and pieces of those 6 weeks, but they're reaching out to a bunch of different people to collect data, okay? And this is a real example. To feed their forecast report, they plug it into a big spreadsheet or a Microsoft Access database. I actually think it's a spreadsheet that has a bunch of formulas in it. And then they kick out a forecast. And that, with a push of a button, they're able to get that forecast now. So I'm going to show you an example of that. And here's the forecast. We're showing all the jobs and when they're scheduled to start and when they're scheduled to end, and spreading out the revenue across the jobs that are not only in the proposal phase but also real jobs. Okay. And again, before they had this data in one place, they were never able to produce these kinds of reports. And this is just one example, but they also do this for labor, as well as other job resources, such as project managers. When do they need to be on a job? And they're even using it for equipment and other opportunities like that. But the primary purpose of having all that in one place is for the forecasting of revenue and labor. Okay. And then I'm going to wrap up with a final best practices, and that is be careful and choose something that's not too difficult to implement. There's a lot of tools out there, and some of them are easier to implement than others. But what I don't want you to get into is a situation where you're spending all your time implementing software and not using it. We've seen that. It's not a friendly situation, and you don't get the ROI you expect. So try to work with a company that understands construction, or a product that understands construction. It doesn't have to be a big, long project. It can be a short, less than a month activity to get it up and running and used in your company's hands, and it doesn't have to cost you a lot of money. So there are solutions out there like that. I'd be careful not to get into a situation where you're overcommitting, especially early, in terms of what you're trying to implement. And what I'm trying to say is start simple. Keep it simple at first and add all the nice to haves and the bells and whistles later. And that way you'll have a higher probability of success. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap up then, Charlotte, with some questions.
We did not have any questions get submitted in the chat, but I will go ahead and open up the line. If anyone has any questions, feel free to speak up and ask them now.
So one question that often comes up, I'll go ahead and start this, is we do this webinar a lot, and one of the questions that comes up is what's involved in implementing these things. Well, it's like I said, it doesn't have to be complicated, but what you're probably going to get into is collecting your data in Excel and providing it so that it can be uploaded to the solution that you've chosen, and then you'll be working together with the provider you've chosen to make sure the system is configured the way you need to. It reflects the job types that you have, the project managers that you have on staff, the estimators you have on staff. You'll load your data and assign it properly. Not only just the opportunities that are in the pipeline, but you certainly want to load up the history for your reports, including all your customers, and you may need to pull it from multiple places and save it to Excel, but it should be easy to upload into your CRM solution and then assigned appropriately, and then you'll connect hopefully your CRM to your job cost accounting or your bidding software, and you should be up and running fairly easily. It shouldn't be too tough of an implementation.
Well, Dave, it doesn't look like we got any questions, so.
Well, thanks everybody. I appreciate it, and we're going to have the recording of this presentation distributed. And thank you for participating today.